This is how I would invest $500 in the African stock market if I was a beginner that wanted to build wealth over time. What if I told you that $500 could plant the seeds for your financial freedom in the fastest growing market on the fastest growing continent in the world? African stock markets are like hidden gems most investors overlook. But not you, not anymore, because after this video, you know exactly how to deploy capital to make the most of this market. You probably already know that the future of the global economy is digital, but what you don't know is that most of the resources needed for digitalization are all found in Africa, and this is a game changer for markets on the continent. Smart investors are already deploying money into these markets in anticipation of the coming decade. So if this is something you're interested in, stay tuned. Today, we're diving into something that could completely change your entire financial future. Yes, you heard me right. And this is African stocks. While everyone is fighting over scraps in the West, where the markets are highly saturated and highly regulated, there's a huge opportunity in the African market that many are overlooking. Everything from consumer goods to natural resources like lithium, cobalt, gold are found on this continent. Today, I'm going to share with you what my African portfolio looks like, so you can have an idea how to allocate your funds in case you want to get into the African stock market. This portfolio made me about 24% last year. That's double the S&P 500. Let me just preface by saying this is not financial or investment advice. Please do your own due diligence. I've been having so many questions. Many people want to know what my portfolio looks like. So I decided to share one of my portfolios with you today. I'm not asking you to go and copy this exact portfolio, but I'm just giving you an idea of how you can deploy or allocate your funds if you are getting into the African market, especially as a beginner. So keep watching, because no two investment journeys are the same. Some people like risk. Some people have a high tolerance, while others prefer a conservative portfolio. So I will share a balanced portfolio, which is much more conservative. Starting small, starting with a $500 investment, and I decide to go for a balanced portfolio. Let's say I want to mitigate risk because I'm a beginner. This is how I'll go about it. I'll allocate 30% of this portfolio into blue chip stocks across several African markets. Blue chip companies are large companies and well-established businesses with stable earnings. Most of them have been around for over a decade. And during this period, they have generated stable returns you can rely on. Why am I deploying 30% of my portfolio for blue chip companies? Well, first of all, they are safe. They are your safest bet. Secondly, they often have very huge market capitalization. This guarantees stable return. A lot of blue chip companies pay dividends on stocks every month, so you can have cash flow. Blue chip stocks also have a high level of liquidity as compared to smaller stocks. So in that aspect, you are very well covered. An example of some blue chip companies on the continent are Dangote Cement, which is a Nigerian-based stock. MTN Group, originally from South Africa, but it is a Pan-African stock because it is found in so many different African countries. MTN is your telecommunications blue chip stock. Safaricom is also another blue chip stock in Kenya. They are also into telecommunications. And it is the parent company of the revolutionary M-Pesa, the mobile money app that took Africa by storm. And I'll throw in some financial services like the Bank of Egypt. They have stocks that are also relatively stable, just to throw in some financial services there to balance the portfolio. Remember, we have a free guide down below that you can always download that details everything you need to know about the African stock market. So feel free to download a copy. It's totally free. My next portfolio is growth oriented. So yes, I'm still trying to play it safe with this portfolio, but I'm more focused on growth. Sectors that are primed for growth and markets that are predicted to grow in the coming months, let's say 3 to 24 months. So after allocating 30% of my $500 into blue chip stocks, I will allocate 20% into mid-cap growth-oriented stocks. Well, these are stocks that are primed to grow in the coming 6 to 24 months. These are sectors like renewable energy, commodities that are primed for growth. I'll focus on industries like electric cars. We all recently saw the hype around Itwa, the Burkina Faso manufacturer of electric cars. And so many people were reaching out to me that week asking me how they could invest or get a share into the Itwa market. And I had to explain to them, it's too late. When there's a hype, it's already too late to get into certain stocks. Meanwhile, since last year, we've been talking about investing in car manufacturing, electric cars to be specific, in Africa. And those of you that listen made a lot of money during that period because a lot of stocks were up. So for growth-oriented stocks, I'll look at not just electric cars, but I'll look at renewable energy. Companies that are like into renewable energy solutions, green energy. Look at financial services. For example, I can get a position in the GT Bank, Nigeria. I'll also look at consumer goods. As the population in Africa is primed to grow exponentially, so too is consumption. So I'll focus on consumer goods. These will be things like maybe Nestle, yes, Twiga Foods from Kenya, any stock that has in line with consumption, because I know that as the population increases, bound to be demand for consumer goods. I'll also look at companies like ShopRite, the supermarket chain out of South Africa. Stocks from ShopRite are bound to go up in the coming decade because the population will increase, the middle class is going to increase, so too is consumption. We have an upcoming masterclass that teaches beginners how to get into the African market in the best possible way, putting your best foot forward. So if that's something that you're interested in, the access link is in the description and it is free. This masterclass will walk you throughout the entire process and teach you everything you need to know about the African markets. Even if you are not interested in stocks but would rather start a business in the market, we highly recommend this masterclass. Get free access by clicking on the link. So I've deployed 30% of my $500 in blue chips, another 25% into growth-oriented mid-caps. My next 20% bet is going to be with dividend stocks. So I'll take a 20% position on dividend stocks. This is just so I can have a consistent amount of cash flow every month or every quarter, depending on how the market is allocated. The reason for this is that dividend paying stocks will give you passive income, as I said, monthly or quarterly. And sometimes some of these companies pay higher dividends than even in the developed markets in the West. You'll be surprised. They are very shareholder focused and they are very results oriented. So you can sleep like a baby knowing you are deployed in this kind of a market. A good example of such a stock would be Sanlam Insurance out of South Africa. They pay dividends quarterly, I think. You also have Guarantee Trust Holding Company. That's a financial company out of Nigeria. I can also go for telecommunications with Safaricom from Kenya. They also pay dividends. Or Maroc Telecom, which is also in telecommunications, but this time out of North Africa, Morocco. Bear in mind that you don't necessarily need to buy each and every one of these companies. You could decide that your 20% is allocated to just one, maybe just Sanlam Insurance, or maybe just Maroc Telecom, or you could deploy it to two. All depends on you, on what you feel comfortable. I'm just giving you examples of what I mean when I say dividend paying stocks or blue chip stocks. The rest is up to you. Remember, if you have any questions or need clarity on any of these points, you can always book a call with us following the link in the pinned comment. Feel free to chat with us. We'll be happy to help. My fourth position in this portfolio is going to be a 15% allocation into sector-specific stocks. You know, the African stock market is divided into different sectors. Yeah, I mean industry-specific, like for example, fintech, financial services, commodities, oil and gas. That's what I mean when I say sector specific. So I'll allocate them to a specific sector, and the sector I'll go for is fintech because that's bound to grow massively in Africa. So when it comes to fintech, I'll go for maybe something like Airtel. Airtel is listed on the London Stock Exchange, so it's already a secure and established company. I'll also look at consumer goods. Last time we mentioned consumer goods above, but we talked about ShopRite, which is a supermarket chain out of South Africa. This time around, I'll go for something like Flour Mills out of Nigeria. I'll also look at Label V. It's also a company listed on the Moroccan Stock Exchange, and they provide everything from cereal to milk and a lot of different consumer goods. The beauty of sector-specific stocks is that all can be down at the same time. It's almost as if you are invested in an ETF. If the financial sector is trending down, the health sector might be trending up, so you are not overexposed. That's why I like sector-specific stocks in my portfolio. That way you are spread out across different sectors. And we know in Africa there are many sectors that are booming, so you have better chances at a win. Yeah, this is the wild card. That's why we're putting just 10%. It is for people that can stomach volatility and risk. So we're deploying just 10%. Remember, it is a balanced portfolio, so it's not meant to give you a heart attack. So I'll deploy 10% of my $500 into frontier markets. These will be stock exchanges like Rwanda, Tanzania, Botswana. So I can deploy this 10%, let's say real estate in Rwanda, for example. Yes, or diamonds, a stock that covers diamonds in Botswana. These are frontier markets. You could work for companies like UPDC Real Estate Trust in Nigeria, or Centum Investment Company out of Kenya that are into construction. Don't forget, we have a free guide down below. That is, check out our ultimate guide. It's free. We also have an upcoming masterclass. As I said earlier, take most of our funds on stable markets, stable stocks, and just 10% into the frontier markets. So you won't have a lot of volatility. And sure, you won't make 200 to 500x, pretty reasonable, and it's high. Hey guys, don't forget to register for our upcoming masterclass where we walk you through the opportunities in Africa and how to get into them right now. This is an event you don't want to miss. We'll share with you our blueprint, our framework where we take into account your budget. It's like an investor's GPS in the African continent. Don't forget to tip us with a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. See you on the other side.